I want to welcome all of you guys that have taken the time to join us today. We couldn't be more excited to share with you guys what, some very good and some great news about Four Seasons and their new yacht product. And today with me, we have Nils Lindstad and Peter Honan, and myself, your host, Carlos Edery. I am the CEO of Luxury Cruise Connections, and I'm going to let Nils and Peter introduce themselves and tell us what they do for Four Seasons Yachts, and then we'll take it from there.
Great. Thanks, Carlos. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here with all of you today to share everything about Four Seasons Yachts. So I've been on this wonderful project about a year and a half now. I am about 23 years in kind of the small ship, upmarket luxury sector of the cruising and yachting industry. And, again, just really happy to be here. So I am VP of Business Development. And of course, also tied to that is our sales excellence piece as well. And Peter, I'll turn it over to you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Nils. How are you guys? I am been about a year with Four Seasons Yachts, which puts me a year not in the hotel industry, so new to passenger shipping, but bringing some of the hotel DNA to this hotel brand that's gone to sea in Four Seasons Yachts. And my role here is, I work very closely with Carlos and the team, and I handle all of our sort of relationships with our travel agency partners and the true experts in travel that you guys rely on to make dreams happen on these trips away from home.
Beautiful. So a little bit of introduction about me. Well, many of you already know me. I'm the CEO of Luxury Cruise Connections, but there are many of you guys in this call that don't know, much of me or of Luxury Cruise Connections. Some of you guys were invited by one of our sister brands, Luxuria Vacations or Privé Jets. We're doing today's event in conjunction, in partnership with those two other sister brands. Why do I call them sister brands? Because Luxury Cruise Connections, which is the company of which I'm a CEO of, is part of this larger group of companies, all in the travel industry, in the high-end and luxury travel industry, of course. One of them being Privé Jets, which obviously focuses in private jet vacation charter. I'm sorry, jet charter, private jet charter, and those that were invited by Luxuria Vacations are that company focuses on luxury hotel experiences around the world, and obviously Luxury Cruise Connections, which is the one I lead, focuses on luxury cruise experiences around the world, of course, of all sorts. And as Luxury Cruise Connections, we love to spend a few minutes or an hour or so with either our clients, guests, and prospective clients, hopefully, to share information about the different cruise lines or different cruise companies, or in this case, yacht brands. Obviously to share information and to bring in executives from these companies to share with us the newest, the latest, in this case, basically just the newest. We're recording this event. Ideally, after about 24 hours after the event, we're going to be sending a link with a video recording of today's event in case you've missed part of it, or in case you want to share this with friends or family. The idea is, obviously, we're going to open up the opportunity for those that are here present live in this event for Q&A at the end. We do have a chat box in the Zoom call that is open for everybody. I'm just going to type hello. So as you guys are probably noticing, this is not a typical webinar. The idea is to create a conversation and to create an opportunity for some good Q&A. Hopefully throughout the event, you guys are going to come up with questions. If it's not something that you feel we need to interrupt for, then please type it in the chat box. And at the end of the event, we'll go through each one of those questions one by one. I'll read them and have either Nils or Peter answer those questions to the best of their abilities. What else? Also, we're going to be pushing some polls. We want to know who is attending today's event, and we'll want to know what you think of it at the end of it as well. So the first poll that I'm going to push is going to go right now. You're going to see a little screen pop up, and it's, have you ever done business with Luxury Cruise Connections? In today's call, we have many of our Luxury Cruise Connections guests, but I know many of you guys are not. So just feel free to answer yes or no when you get a chance. And that's it. And then I'll share the results in a minute. But without any further ado, let me give you guys a little bit of background here as well on this relationship and kind of why we're doing this in the first place. First of all, Nils and I, we go way back, right? I mean, I've been doing this for about 18 years. And Nils, he was with other companies before, Four Seasons Yachts, where we did business together for also, I don't know how many years. And it's been this relationship that has grown, beyond trust. And obviously, when Four Seasons came out with the concept, and we're talking about over a year ago that we first sat down and we were chatting with the original team of Four Seasons Yachts and going over what this brand was going to be like and what it was going to do. We were very honored to be some of the first to know about it. But obviously, even more honored to be one of the first that you guys are having a consumer event with ever, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited about that. And obviously, we're going to be posting this on social media, YouTube or YouTube channel. Hopefully, you guys can follow it as well. Denise will share the information in the chat and also in a minute. But Nils, why don't you share with the audience a little bit about why we happen to be among the first, or actually the first, to you're doing this with?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you said it, Carlos. I mean, it's been a decade plus since you and I have been working and partnering together. And I know your main parent company, Forest Travel, just does such an amazing job. And over 35 years of experience. Always putting the customer first. And I think you guys do such a great job with the different verticals you have, from Privé Jets, as you mentioned, Luxury Cruise Connections, the luxury hotel piece. And everything is, being able to offer the best travel experiences around the world with all the in-depth knowledge that your team has. And so it was a natural fit for us to kind of partner with you. And, this is our first consumer kind of presentation that we're partnering with somebody on. And I couldn't think of a better partner to do it with. So happy to be here.
Amazing. Thank you. And thank you very much for the opportunity. From our end, one of our company's core principles is always do what's right for the client. And when we sat down for the first time to talk about Four Seasons Yachts, yes, I mean, of course, we know the Four Seasons brand, but when we started learning more about what your brand was going to stand for, and we know what Four Seasons brand stands for, we immediately knew that this was obviously, like you said, like a natural fit for us as well. Just we feel that much comfortable to put our guests and recommend Four Seasons Yachts because we know the brand for so long, but also we know many of the team and the people behind this project, and so we know that you guys are going to very much follow through with that same putting the client first principle that we also believe in. So, very, very excited. Thank you very much again for the opportunity. And we look forward to hopefully getting many of today's invitees very excited about it as well. So, when we started talking about Four Seasons Yachts, one of the things that came up over and over and over in the conversations is, this is not just another cruise line, right? This is a category of one. Can you share with the audience today, why do you talk about like it being a category of one?
Sure. Yeah. From the moment I joined, and Peter, I think the moment you joined, that was kind of the mantra. Like, what we are doing here is to create a category of one. We do not want to be a copycat of someone. We're not, trying to replicate this ship's design or this yacht's design. we really want to set ourselves apart, and hence why we've come up with the Four Seasons Yachts concept. So if you just take a step back and look at the shipbuilder that we are using, Fincantieri. So we are building the yacht in Ancona, Italy. For those of you that aren't familiar with Fincantieri, they are one of the most storied shipbuilding yards that are out there on the passenger cruise side for cruise ships, but also for yachts. They do such an amazing job in the private sector with yacht builds as well. And Peter alluded earlier to kind of the cost of the yacht. And when you start to break it down, that over $4.3 million per suite is being spent. Nobody in this industry has spent that much money.
Number one more time.
4.3 million per suite. It
Okay.
is an amazing number that is being spent. And if I sometimes think not to share these, but I do know there's some people who like these stats. So cut me off, Carlos, if this is too much. But the yacht will be 34,000 gross tons. It's just under 700 feet. It's going to be 688 feet long. And I mentioned we're 95 suites on board. So if you gave it double occupancy, it's about 190 passengers, but we do have 7 what we call signature suites on board that are multi-bedroom. So we could get up to about 220 if all those berths are filled. And again, we're spanning 14 decks. The ceiling height on board this yacht is 8.2 feet. So if anyone has ever been on a yacht or even on a cruise ship, those ceiling heights are normally pretty low. But for us, 8.2 feet. We will have the largest suites in passenger shipping, 50% more living space than anything that is currently available. Our entry-level suite starts at 475 square feet of interior space. And once you add the balcony, you're getting close to 600. And I know we'll go through the suites in a little bit, Carlos, but just to kind of do the range. And our largest suite is the funnel suite, which, inside space is about 5,000 square feet. And when you add the exterior, it's almost 10,000 square feet of space. But again, this is, like I said, there's nothing like this that is currently on the water or is in design to be built. The staff to guest ratio is 1-to-1 on board. And of course, this is the only place at sea that is delivering that Four Seasons experience.
Yeah. And save some of some of that for when we're actually showing the pictures, because yes, we do have illustrations and some renderings of what those suites are going to look like in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it's insane. I mean, the numbers that you share are definitely put you apart from any other yacht or even cruise that we can think of. And I know that we're all, especially I know within Four Seasons, we want to stay away from the word cruise because we don't want anybody to confuse this experience with the traditional cruise experience. While we are talking about a ship with passengers, it definitely feels like this is very far from a traditional cruise experience and is much more closer to a private yacht experience. And I guess this is why we wanted to make sure that we had guests from all the different brands within our organization in today's event, because, for those of you that traditionally stay at ultra luxury hotels or that traditionally fly in private jets or that normally or that either own or traditionally charter yachts or that normally stay at the higher suite categories when you're cruising on some of the luxury brands, then this is the type of experience that might appeal to you. And while the hardware is obviously kind of the more visual thing that attracts people, I want you to share with us a little bit about the ethos behind the brand. And obviously, many of you might know Four Seasons. In fact, before we go there, I want to launch one more poll. I want to understand from those that are attending today's event, how many of you normally stay at Four Seasons hotels? Do you normally stay at Four Seasons hotels when you travel? They just Zoom doesn't let us put the whole phrase there. So we'd love to know. And you know, if you normally don't stay at Four Seasons hotels, you probably stay at some other luxury hotels. And I think it's a good opportunity to share with our audience a little bit about what's behind the Four Seasons brand and the ethos behind the brand.
Absolutely. And I think Peter was gonna
Absolutely.
jump in
Talk a
here.
little bit about that. So, I think, we'll start to get into a little bit more, where this yacht goes. And when we do, I think one of the really important things we talk a lot about is how remarkable it is that we're able to bring Four Seasons to some of these destinations where there isn't a Four Seasons hotel, right? I come from the hotel world and from the hotel development world, and we've always seen these different effects that tourism, that hotel development, those things can have on a destination. I think as we look towards a future that's much more sustainable, where we think about sustainable travel, not just from an ecological impact, but also one from a cultural impact. This is a light touch, which I think is great, right? And so we're bringing Four Seasons hotels and resorts to destinations without, and then we leave, we sort of, like you would if you're camping or something, you leave it as you found it. We leave these places with the same keeping that feel in mind, and those destinations, as they retain a lot of their local charm that way, because they haven't kind of been over tourism, which is really important to our ethos and how we feel about things. But this really comes down to the founder of Four Seasons, Isidore Sharp. His commitment to the golden rule, which is really, I can't think of a better one to live by, which is treat others as you would want to be treated. It's one that, a service style that leads with empathy, that leads with compassion, that leads with also generosity. And, I think too, what's really special about it, also a certain kind of lack of pretense, and an unpretentious and a kind approach to luxury, which, look, when you're hanging out on a yacht and everyone's in bathing suits, and you just came out of the water, you don't want to feel like you're out of, that Michelin star setting, right? You want to feel comfortable, you want to feel taken care of. And that's what we're really bringing to it here. I think critically, like, Nils and I are here with Four Seasons Yachts. We're a joint venture with Four Seasons, and a joint partnership. And what that means is, we own this vessel that you see behind me. We manage the sales and marketing. We do the marine and technical. So you think about the safety, the captain, his crew, the folks you don't want to see, who do all the magic behind the scenes. We handle the port operations. But critically, the joint venture of that partnership comes into play because Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts runs every single part of the onboard hospitality experience. That does not exist in the market right now. You're starting to see other hotels companies go to sea. Those are almost more licensed agreements, white labels, where you just kind of put the logo on the side. We couldn't do that with Four Seasons. We really want to make sure we're showcasing that really remarkable hospitality culture, and bringing that to what you think is, this is a perfect really a perfect venue for that, right? We have a first-in-class vessel with first-in-class service, bringing them together.
And the yacht is just one of a few Four Seasons endeavors beyond hotels. There is,
Yes.
for those that don't know, obviously we now have the yacht in this slide, but before that, Four Seasons had already ventured out to a private jet journey experience, and as well as luxury driving experiences. Want to talk 2 seconds about this real quick, since we have our captive audience here interested to learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. I can talk a little bit about the jet products. As you guys know, there's sort of again, kind of part of this really rare and one-of-one experiences with their partner, Four Seasons partner in TCS. There's the Four Seasons private jet, which I believe is 48 seats. They have these, I think 2-3 week itineraries throughout the world, stopping at different Four Seasons around the world. There's been a whole lot of interest now, and as well as we started the rollout of the drive experience, which is starting in one property and sometimes going between 2 destinations. The Geneva and Megève ones were hugely successful, but as were sometimes we travel so much we forget the beauty in our own backyard. there was one done at Four Seasons Hotel Napa as the host hotel, and had the pleasure to be in wine country last weekend in Sonoma, and I think it's hard getting back on that plane. It's pretty spectacular. And then again, all part of the other extensions, yacht, and then of course even residents, right? As you start to see, you guys in the South Florida area are certainly well aware. Brickell, Fort Lauderdale, as well as Surf Club, I think all have resident elements to them as well. So kind of this holistic approach to luxury. And that's where you start to see, Four Seasons as a brand getting a little bit away from the hotels and resorts is something they do to kind of a general approach to that that brand identity and that brand lifestyle, that excellence being brought to all sorts of different segments.
Very, very interesting. And now let's dig a little bit more into the yacht. And we're purposely leaving the imagery of the suites for the end. Let's first talk about your deployment. I mean, you're launching the yacht. When is the yacht going to be out, first of all?
Sure. So we take delivery of the yacht at the end of 2025, and so our full inaugural year of voyages will be in 2026. So once we take delivery of the vessel, we will head, and again, it's being built in Ancona, Italy, and we will head to Miami. We'll do a few voyages out of Miami. The yacht will be christened in Miami, and then we will head down to I would say more the yachtsman's Caribbean. Our home ports will be in St. Martin, Barbados, and Aruba. And from there, we would transition over to the Mediterranean to do a full Mediterranean season. So think French and Italian Riviera. We'll be doing the Greek Isles and Turkish coasts, Adriatic, Croatia, with stops in Venice as well. And we'll be there until about end of October 2026, Carlos, and then we would head back over to the Caribbean as well.
As of right now, what itineraries are out? Like what dates are out? What can people reserve today?
So great question, Carlos. And as you mentioned earlier too, we have just kind of gone to market. So last month we opened up our first 19 voyages. So starting in January 2026 through the beginning of June 2026. So we have a nice mix of Caribbean voyages. We also have the transatlantic getting over to the Mediterranean, and we did open up our Greek Isles voyage. The average sailing length is about 7 nights. We do have a couple of 5-night voyages, a couple of 9-night voyages as well. And you can, of course, combine those voyages to create 14, 21 night voyages and never repeat a port.
You're not stopping at typical ports that most other passenger ships would stop at. Can you share a little bit about the differences of the experience when at port or anchored or at marinas, etc.?
Sure, absolutely. So, we really, again, keeping with that category of one, we really wanted to set ourselves apart and really give the guests that are coming on board us a yacht feel. So, we have 240 days that will be at anchor. So a lot of tendering will be going on, which is what mega yachts, super yachts do when they are in these amazing destinations in the Mediterranean, the Caribbean. And of course, marina-only locations. I believe a little further on, we'll talk about the transverse marina that we have. And basically, it's a marina that opens on the port side and the starboard side of the vessel, which is an industry first as well. And our itinerary planner, I mentioned I've always been in kind of that small ship luxury sector, Carlos, but our itinerary planner has done an amazing job finding some of these smaller, off the beaten path locations, even yachting harbors that typically in the cruise industry you just don't go to. And I'll give one case in point too of when we're coming into the Mediterranean and leaving. Spain is obviously a beautiful country to visit, and one of the biggest low ports, embark or disembarkation, is in Barcelona. But from very early on, we talked about the port of Barcelona. It's a great location, but it is a very industrial cruise port, and it was always like, we cannot have our guests experience that when they're coming on a Four Seasons yacht. So we are going to be turning in Palma de Mallorca. And I think it's just one of those other things that just sets us apart and different ways of thinking that our guests will enjoy and expect to come on board a Four Seasons yacht.
These are some of the other ports that, for those that have been doing any cruising at all, you could quickly realize these are not names you would normally see on typical itineraries. Same thing. I mean, some of these maybe, but you're definitely not going to be surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of tourists from other big ships at the same time, right? Do you agree?
I agree. Yes.
Yeah, very much so.
So let's talk about the ship now. Let's get our audience excited about this experience. Talk to me.
Yeah.
What are we looking at here? Like, what's so special about this?
Sure. I can talk a little bit about this. So it's funny, we do a lot of these, right? And I have an old client that I've worked with for a long time, and she lives in Pensacola, but among a lot of places, right? Because she was in Okinawa, blah, blah. And I guess San Diego, and you can guys guess, she is, a Navy wife, and travel industry is great for her because she's bouncing all over the place all the time. And I did point out to her, right? She noticed immediately the aft deck of this yacht is a canoe aft style, because we designed the ship after the Christina O, Aristotle Onassis' famous yacht. Why the Navy anecdote makes me laugh, she of course knew about it, but she also knew one of the famous things about the Christina O is it actually started as a warship. It's a World War II warship that was retrofitted. So you don't have that classic, yacht anchor that's what or that yacht, so that sloping aft deck where that goes directly into the water. So how do we do the toys and tenders? How do we do the swimming deck, all that sort of thing? So in order to address that, the part of the design of the ship is that transverse marina that you had up there, Carlos, which is incredible. This is, imagine almost kind of like a reverse gull wing door on both sides of the hull, open up. And on one side, you'd have, toys and tenders. And then on this side, you have, your swimming deck and for relaxing. And not pictured here is an additional 3,000 or so square feet of inflatable deck space that we open up during that time too. So there's, it's actually a pool that's basically just all netted. So you can feel free to jump in, no safety concerns there, right? Because you can just jump in the water. You're in a pool that, for all practical purposes, you're actually swimming in these bodies of water that you're in. So it creates this, everything with yacht, right, is about removing those barriers between the guests and the natural world. That ease of being able to just kind of jump in the water and that sort of thing. That's what people are looking for. We really try to capitalize on that with this design.
There are plenty of ships out there nowadays with marinas, but nothing like this. This is insane.
No, this is totally unique. Yeah.
What I can tell, this is not just a marina, but upstairs, up those stairs, is that a bar?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so it's one of our 10 food and beverage outlets that are on board. So the bar and grill will be up there as well. Also, if you go straight up, the primary access point to the pool is one simple stairway or elevator right up above you, and the pool is up there. So you can kind of go from pool, walk downstairs, go right into the water. Depending on how much salinity, I suppose, you want in your swimming situation, you can kind of alter it that way. But it's pretty amazing.
So this is the bar from basically the opposite angle,
right?
Up that from that marina, correct?
That's correct.
And then talk to us about the pool deck a little bit.
Yeah, this pool deck, like that Christina O, there's, has this wonderful, much smaller pool that, has a similar, almost like sort of nautical, I think of almost like Grecian ruin kind of design, where, got this sort of beautiful tiled floor. And then, but what we've done is just expand that out, but it has the same functionality. That Christina O pool deck would come up level with the ground around it. And it serves as a dining room space, so or a dining area. We've done a similar sort of thing. This, however, is a 60-foot long pool, 20 meters long. This also, though, can come up flat with the flat pool deck here. We do, of course, have seen some inquiries for different events, whether they're, corporate, car show, fashion show, wedding. I know someone commented that they had their daughter got married at a Four Seasons. If you have another one that's interested, be happy to talk to you about someone else you want to have. We'll be happy to get them involved. But yeah, so this will really, for the general guest, this really serves as like the nerve center of the of the space here. And this is, as anyone knows who's, done passenger ship cruising, they're fairly intimate experiences and intimate spaces. And so, this is where you kind of get everyone together and everyone spend time here. There's also, and then again, one of the food and beverage outlets, the pool bar is up here as well. You can see there.
Very cool. Very cool. Now let's talk about the suites.
Definitely. So yeah.
So
our sea view
what are we
suites, yeah.
This is our entry-level category?
This is our entry-level category, our sea view suites, around 484 square feet to start. Nils mentioned that these also have just over 8.5-foot high ceilings as well. So this feels much more hotel in style and feel.
I want to make a point there. For those that are traditional cruisers, we would all agree there's no other cruise line that has an entry-level category that starts at 480 square feet. And for those that traditionally sell on yachts, I think we can also agree you very rarely, if not never, get to actually sleep in such spacious accommodations on traditional yachts. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's what we've seen. We've had the opportunity to actually be on board some of these spectacular mega yachts, between Monaco Yacht Show, between Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, right? And we get the question a lot, like, okay, well, you start to kind of put a lot of these higher level suites together, or kind of combine some of these rooms, you're starting to get in the same territory you would for a full ship, a full ship charter, for a mega yacht charter. But the key things there, you can have 12 guests on board. That's the maritime max for that. This, you can start to put together much larger configurations of suites. We have one of our suites that, if you combine with some other suites, that configuration is 20 can sleep behind one key. So again, great for multi-gen, great for traveling families. This is we love the double vanity because, again, this is all part of that richer, more luxurious kind of style of travel here. We want to replicate the comforts of home, and what people expect of the Four Seasons.
So
you
guys went beyond trying to replicate a yacht experience, and you actually try to replicate accommodations that are typical of a luxury hotel. I mean, got Four Seasons, land hotel into this is crazy.
It's pretty remarkable. And we talk a lot about the investments and the expense of the yacht. She will be the most expensive passenger ship ever built. And it comes from little details like this: double vanity in every room, from the extra steel it takes to have those ceiling heights as high as they are. I mean, those are all go into this, but they present in dividends, and they pay back, greater dividends in that investment, because you do have just this remarkable experience. You can sort of see inside. These are between, depending on the suite, anywhere between 75 and 100 square foot outdoor deck spaces that every entry level room would get, all facing the ocean. You'll see in there too, there's this beautiful kind of Art Deco designed mural. That's actually a pocket door. So if you aren't connecting with your neighbor, and you're not connecting suites, that of course is a marine door that's soundproofed and can only be opened by the staff. But if you do, you can actually connect entire decks of this vessel, one after another, kind of all rolling into one another, until you get to kind of the more end-capped suites. So there's, while we start with 484, there's also great opportunity to continue to combine these, to sort of add to a larger experience here. And that connection doesn't just happen in the suite. It also, as you can see with the walls there on the veranda, that actually those can close as well. And so you can connect the outside deck space as well as the interior space together.
If I connect one of these accommodations with another one just like it, would you turn the second one into a living room? Is that possible or not necessarily?
Not necessarily. It would still just be, accommodations, but some of them do have these can combine to about two or three different categories of suite. Some of them have their own. For example, our ocean suites and our grand ocean suites are almost more traditional one bedroom style suites where there's a living space in there, and that they would connect in that fashion. But good question.
Suite. Okay, good.
Mhm.
And then the Malaga suite is the second category up. No, that's a few categories up.
A few categories up, but yeah, we have our sea view suites, our superior sea view, which important to point out can also become modular. They're either superior sea view is either going to be more space with a king bed, or you can make it two beds, and those are sort of it's up to your discretion, whatever the guest would like to do. We then have our ocean suites and grand ocean suites, again, kind of both one bedroom suite categories of increasing size. And then you get into some of these signature suites. So the Malaga here is a great one to start with. This is around 3,000 square feet of total space, so about 1,500 interior, 1,500 exterior private deck space in this suite. And this, again, can connect all the way back through the ocean suites, through the sea view suites, if you so chose. But, when you think about just these remarkable, unique experiences to be on the water and this kind of accommodation and this kind of setting, with some of these views that this will offer as we start to pull into these beautiful ports, both in the Caribbean and in Europe, they're going to be really something special. And private plunge pools and all these, and the part of these deck spaces, so really wonderful.
Wow.
I believe this is the Saint-Tropez, Nils, is that correct?
No, it's still Malaga. Yeah.
Oh, that is the Malaga. Okay.
Yeah, and one thing if anyone has ever stayed at this property, kind of the design inspiration is the Four Seasons Surf Club. One of the main owners of this project owns the Four Seasons Surf Club and other properties here in South Florida. But and I don't think we also mentioned too, but Prosper Asseline is a key kind of design consultant that we have on the project as well, if anyone's familiar with Prosper. So,
and this is the loft suite? Yes.
Yes, this is the loft suite. This is my joke is that I call this one the Zillow listing, because this is it looks like a home. You like go through and you're scrolling on Zillow and you're like, oh yeah. That works. I could do that. But no, I mean, this really looks like something residential. I mean, it's these are double heights. This is 16 or almost 17-foot high ceilings in this main living area. This is also going to be just around 3,500 square feet of interior living space, and almost 5,000 square feet of exterior space, private deck space. So this is, really remarkable. And again, this is the one, if you combine these with some of the other available suites, this can sleep up to 20 behind that one key.
I think this answers a typical question I normally get when I start talking about Four Seasons Yacht and basically what you guys expect to charge for it. And we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. By the way, we're leaving that at the end. We're getting you guys very excited about the product, and then we'll share the pricing. But the typical question that I get is, for that amount of money, or if you have that amount or if you normally budget as much to travel, then you might as well charter your own yacht. But I think this answers that question. This is why you would not. You don't get this sort of accommodations on your own private yacht. Yes, you get the privacy of it, but you don't get this. This is what makes this experience so unique. This is literally what puts this experience apart from a typical yacht charter, and of course, a typical cruise vacation.
Yeah, I mean, to your point too, if you come all the way down the market to, in the kind of the general travel world market, right? And you get down this, I almost liken it to an Airbnb versus 4 hotel rooms. It's a lot of the time, yes, you can find nice things and they're great. You're often at the whim of the owner, whatever their design or unique peccadillos are, whatever they're interested in, and being a yacht owner does not come without occasionally a little bit of eccentricity. If you've seen any of these designs and features, right? This is really, the yacht here is just done with such exceptional taste and appeal and so smartly designed, so to be able to bring that to everyone is critical. But yeah, totally, Carlos. I think that's a huge part of it.
I'm going to say something else that I'm sure many are wondering, like, how does this compare with a competing brand of Four Seasons, normally in land, which is Ritz-Carlton, and if anybody is familiar about the Ritz-Carlton yachts, it's a very different experience. Just by looking at the pictures, there is, by the way, like, I think the largest accommodation on the Ritz-Carlton yacht, it's even much smaller than a middle tier accommodation at one, at Four Seasons Yacht. So just, really, that's one big difference. And then, well, everything, I'm not even going to go deep into it, but just wanted to make that remark. And then the crown jewel, the craziest,
quite literally,
the craziest,
see her here. Yeah.
the most insane thing that you guys could have done. Can you please explain what we're looking at?
Yeah, and I'd say on land and sea across virtually anything. This is a 4-story funnel suite. This is just shy of 10,000 square feet when you combine the indoor and outdoor space. It's about 4,500 square feet of interior living space. It is, and you should see when I present this to Europeans, we're Americans, so we're used to, like all the homes are so, but 4,500, that's, beyond comprehension for them sometimes. And then about 4,725 square feet of exterior private outdoor deck space. Again, so we have that number, that's $440 million of cost to build this yacht. One part of this picture is responsible for $10 million of that investment. So there's a piece of glass. This is actually one solid piece of glass that goes all the way around. That's designed and tempered to handle all the elements that covers all 4 stories, right, going all the way down. It is, however, a yacht, and so it's active, it moves, it goes through the seas, all sorts of things, and so we need to make sure that if something were to happen, we had a backup as well. So it's $4 million for a piece of glass. It's a $4 million second piece of glass, and then you have to actually store it somewhere. So that's about $2 million of a storage facility for your second piece of glass there. So when we say that no expense has been spared in the investment and the build of this yacht, that the funnel suite glass is the one of the great kind of, as you go down kind of the different fractal stories that come around, that's one of them to me for sure. And this in total sleeps 5, and then I think also, Nils, you have to refresh my memory of how much this can connect to on the with additional suites as well. This would connect purely vertically down, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's this also has its own private elevator that goes 1 floor down and connect with two other different suites.
So we're talking about 2 bedrooms basically within the suite. Is it a 2-bedroom suite?
3 bedrooms, two king size beds and 1 full.
I remember when when you first showed me some of these renderings, you were saying that you would expect that some of the people that might be staying at the funnel suite might bring their own bodyguards as well. And you said that there might be some accommodations for the bodyguards as well in this suite. Where did that end up?
Correct. So we do have, it's not in the funnel, but one, the suite below that connects to it. We did that with the intent of mind that, yes, some of the clientele that we're purchasing these have their own bodyguards, or they could have their own babysitter for the kids, or their own, nutritionist or chef, or whatever the case may be. And you will find 13 other suites on board that have what we're calling a PA studio, a personal assistant studio, that connects to the suite. It has its own separate entrance, own separate living accommodations, bathroom, etc. But we did that with for those high net worth guests that do have, the the bodyguard or the personal assistant that travels with them.
Yeah. Wow. Well, these are some of the images of what that funnel suite is going to look like. And I don't want to go into the e-brochure. I'm going to kind of unshare the presentation at this point. And now I want to kind of share with our audience a little bit about the pricing structure and what this is going to look like. Who is this new Four Seasons product intended to attract?
Sure. Yeah. So I know we keep talking about the pricing. So, entry level, for the Sea View suite in the Caribbean, currently right now is about $3,000 per night. And that's per suite. So our pricing is per suite, right? So the Sea View suite sleeps two, but we did do it. It's kind of mimicking the hotel model of per suite. The funnel suite, just to kind of give you the range there, Carlos, will go up to about 40,000 to 45,000, depending on Caribbean or Med, per night. But again, that's per suite. So so it sleeps five. But that kind of gives you a good range. And then I know, what's included, right? So those of you that are traditional, luxury cruise sellers, this will be a little different than what you're used to, because the yacht product is more aligned with a Four Seasons hotel. Lunch and dinner is a la carte, as well as alcoholic beverages, but breakfast is included. All non-alcoholic beverages are included. All the water sports toys are included. The service fees for the crew members on board. So basically, no gratuities need to be paid. Premium Wi-Fi is included. But as it relates to the lunch and the dinner and the alcohol, we price this accordingly. I know, a lot of other lines price it in, and, whether you eat on board or not, you're paying for it. Whether you drink alcohol or not, you're paying for it. And the design of the itineraries that we did allows, the yacht to be in port a lot, right? So we didn't want guests to have to feel, guilty or rushed to get back to eat on board. So they have the flexibility to eat lunch and dinner ashore. But I think that's probably, one of the biggest differences between us and a traditional luxury cruise product that's out there.
Interesting. I did see some of the pricing. So just so that our audience understands, Four Seasons Yacht is not a product that anybody can just buy or sell. I guess not every agency right now has the opportunity to offer this to their guests. And not every guest has the opportunity to make a reservation as well. There is a level of exclusivity behind this product and this brand. We're fortunate enough to have the relationship to be able to offer this to our guests. So we're one of the very few agencies at this point that have access to sharing not just this information, but also sharing pricing and availability. I did have an opportunity to check pricing on some of your suites, on some of your itineraries. I did see that for your earlier itineraries in the Caribbean, some of your suites might be going for as low as $2,800 a night. And I also saw that for your European itineraries in the peak of the season, they might be going for about $3,500 and even $3,700 a night. Again, this is per suite, not per person.
Correct.
And this is plus tax?
No, government taxes, port fees are included in that.
Are included.
Clarification, I wasn't sure. Okay, so given that price point, of course, I can imagine that the target audience and the people you're trying to attract are obviously many of Four Seasons loyalists, many of the typical Four Seasons traveler, but also many of those, and I'm just going to dare today to say this, many of those cruise travelers that normally stay at those very high-end signature suites and that enjoy the exclusivity and the personalized level of service, and that are looking for an even much more elevated experience. And that's what they're going to get when they sell on Four Seasons. Wi-Fi, breakfast, soft drinks included. aside from that, it's a la carte. Another difference that I want to make is you're not going to get the typical cruise experience in terms of shows, entertainment, etc. Or even, I mean, you do have multiple dining venues on board the ship, but it's not the typical specialty restaurant experience, is it?
No, correct. Yeah. So
Mhm.
You don't have to make a
Peter,
reservation for it, or
yeah, no. So yeah, I mean, we will, the team will work with everyone, to make reservations, but we will also have a concierge on board to help make reservations ashore, to identify those key restaurants to dine in, for the guests as well. And I did see a question come in about the dining experience on board. Peter and I would love to share more, but our marketing team is kind of muzzling us at the moment because they're trying to do a big reveal on it. So I would just say stay tuned for more details on the dining experience on board. But Peter did mention we will have 10 different venues between the restaurants and the lounges where you could dine.
beautiful. So we're going to go into questions. But before we do that, I want to show one more poll with you guys. This poll is about, did you guys see it? I'm sorry. Yes. How excited do you feel about trying Four Seasons Yachts now that you've learned about it? Rated 1 to 10. Let us know what you think. We, obviously very much look forward to the opportunity of taking care of you, your friends, your family, anybody that you think might be interested in sailing on Four Seasons Yacht. Like Neil said, everything that we share today is as much as we can share. There's more information that is going to come up, but I think we've shared quite a bit to get people excited about making a reservation soon. When I was looking at availability and pricing, I realized some of the suites are already waitlisted because
Right.
we had a preview session, I guess, a preview period where some guests were able to kind of pre-reserve some of these itineraries. And then now we're opening up for more availability, but some of these that are already waitlisted, I guess we can obviously we'll work together with Four Seasons team to try to get them cleared if that's what you absolutely want. Very much look forward to taking care of you. And Denise, if you can please share in the chat the contact information where they could send a request if anybody's interested in learning more. So I did promise at the beginning of our conversation that I was going to go through every single one of the questions and read them. So bear with me because I haven't even seen the chat so far. So what is the shore like experience? And Rick, by the way, Rick, thank you for joining us. And Neil, like Peter said, if you have another daughter and like to looking to having that next wedding on board Four Seasons, we'd be happy to arrange that as well. We talked a little bit about the shore experience, but I guess the real question behind this is, will Four Seasons yet be offering experiences that people can purchase at an optional charge, of course, when going ashore? And what will that be like? And how will that be any different from a traditional shore excursion that any other cruise line would offer?
Sure. Great question. So yes, Four Seasons will definitely be offering shore experiences. And there'll be a small subset, kind of, I guess I would say more of the traditional sites and key things to see in the port. But the majority of what we want to work with our guests on is curating and customizing the experience that they want ashore. So we are going to have a dedicated concierge team that will work with the guests and their travel partner, of course, to understand, what is it you like to see? What is it, you're most interested in? We can kind of give a download as to, on your itinerary, these are the key ports you're going to. These are some of the options, but really, we do not want to be the vanilla cookie cutter operator for this. So.
Good. And by the way, the poll results are back, and about 68% of you responded 10 as how excited you are about trying Four Seasons Yachts. That's great. That's fantastic. That means we've done a good job. Beautiful. And so we talked, Gonzalo, we talked about the entertainment, but so we know that there's the typical cruise entertainment is not going to be there. So what is there to do at night?
Great question again. So yeah, you're right. There's no traditional Broadway show like, you might have on a large ship, but we will have live music on board. There will be a DJ on board. When we are in these amazing destinations in the Mediterranean and the Caribbean, we will bring on local entertainment for the guests to enjoy. There is no casino on board. I know that's a question we've gotten before too. And I don't think we mentioned this either, but there is a kids for all seasons, just like there is at every single Four Seasons hotel and resort around the world, as well that we will have on board.
Excellent. So again, it's something that is important to highlight is this yacht is going to stay, like there's so much time you're going to be anchored or by the marina where the whole idea is for you to experience the destination as well, right? So you're basically kind of incentivized to just get off the ship and just go explore and make a restaurant reservation at any of the ports where you guys are docked at. And I think that is part of the experience. You got to think of this as what you would do if you were in your own yacht, right? Yeah, some nights you're going to want to have dinner on board and lunch. That's great, but many of the times you're going to want to get off and just go and, and enjoy one of the beautiful restaurants at any of these most amazing ports that you guys are going to. So that's great. And then I have the question again. Let's go over it again. What's the starting from price? And then I'll talk about how to book it.
Sure. So starting, in the Caribbean, we're just under 3,000 a night, and again, that's per suite for the Seaview suite. Starting entry level in the Mediterranean is about 3,500 to 3,700 a night, and again, that's per suite. Where to book it? I think Carlos, you put your email there to reach out to you. And when will the first itinerary? So it will be in January 2026, and it will be in the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean. And the islands that you're going to be visiting, that first itinerary, if you don't know them by heart, it's okay. We can send a follow-up email with it.
Yeah, so right now we've opened up starting on January 25th, which is we're doing a 7-night from Barbados to St. Martin. I do not remember the itineraries off the top of my head, Carlos, but we will open earlier itineraries. As I mentioned, we're coming to Miami first and foremost. We're just trying to confirm our berthing location with the Port of Miami. So it's just taking a little bit. But stay tuned for those details for the Miami itineraries. But January 25, 2026. That is the first voyage that is open currently today.
Okay. And
no Port Canaveral right now.
No Port Canaveral. Okay,
No.
good. So yeah, and so right now what's published, and I just want to say for those that are interested, we love to be easy to do business with, right? So you can either reply back to the email invitation that you got for today's event. We'll receive that email. I'll receive that email. Make sure to assign it to one of our advisors that can properly guide you through what the right itinerary is for you. We do have access to detailed information about the itineraries and pricing for each one of the categories. So we'll be happy to share that with you as well as more pictures or images or renderings about the specific suite that you might be interested in. Or you can also, Denise, if you can put our phone number, and Denise also put our Instagram and Facebook and social media as well. But, sending us an email back to the invitation that you received, or just emailing me at carlos@luxurycruiseconnections.com. I'll be happy to share your request with one of our advisors that we know will be able to take really good care of you. Does that answer your question? I hope so. If not, please let me know. And then I'm seeing a private message about, again, the culinary. I want you to know that the more information about the culinary will be released soon. So far, I guess the expectation that we can set for anybody is that they should see culinary experience at par with any other Four Seasons they would stay at around the world. Probably a celebrity chef might be behind it. We don't have to say the name, but at least
Stay tuned. Yes, stay tuned.
stay tuned. Okay. So that would be my expectation. And I'm sure, just again, without giving out any details, I'm sure there will be a very wide variety of options for anybody with any sort of dietary restriction or preferences to enjoy enough of it, right?
Correct.
Any sort of
Yes.
enrichment, that's another question I'm getting privately here. Any sort of enrichment sessions, meaning will you be bringing on speakers on board to maybe,
Yes.
educate the guests on a specific destination or culture or whatever?
Yes,
Like,
absolutely. Definitely. And specifically, in these key destinations that we're going to, local experts will be brought on. More details to come on that too, Carl. I hate using that, but marketing's they really want to use as we get through and closer to the yacht, they can make a big presentation. So
and what would be the deposit schedule if anybody's interested in booking or reserving one of the itineraries? What would be the deposit schedule? What would they be looking at?
sure, it is a 25% deposit, and our final payment date for our signature suites, which are the multi-bedroom suites, and there's 7 of those, is 180 days prior to the voyage, and for non-signature suites is 150 days prior to the sale for final payment.
Good, good. Any other question? Caleb, I got your message. We'll connect later. Any other message? Any other question? Anything else that you guys might be interested in learning or asking about? Very much looking forward to sharing, any additional details we can share. Again, sorry that we can't share much about the culinary, but please know that, like Nils is saying, I mean, marketing gotta do their thing. So, what else do you guys want to know? We're right on the hour, and I also want to be respectful of everybody's time. But we don't get an opportunity to bring Peter and Nils on an event like this. Hopefully, we'll do one more when we have more information to share about culinary and other onboard experiences. But
Absolutely.
anything else that you guys want to know about? Anything else you guys want to ask about? This is when, you guys. This is when. What about Four Seasons preferred partner amenities? That's a good question. So for those that don't know what Jason is talking about, a preferred partner, there is a very exclusive program where companies like us, Forest Travel, Luxury Cruise Connections, and our group of companies, Luxuria, etc., belong to, which allow us to have this level of relationship with Four Seasons that very few other travel companies have. This allows us to offer our guests amenities and perks at Four Seasons hotels worldwide. And as the yacht brand gets launched, I am sure, I mean, one of the first perks that we have is the opportunity to do this, right? The opportunity to allow our guests to make reservations through us is one of the perks for being Four Seasons.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the way we sort of like to think about it is, the Four Seasons preferred partner program, as we've got these, as this you have these sort of brand expansions that I mentioned: Jet, Drive, Residence. The preferred partner program is a great program that really lives within the realm of Four Seasons hotels and resorts. That said, the way we always think about it is that we have, I like to think of it as kind of mutual reciprocity. We recognize preferred partner agencies. The first step, of course, right, is like, the booking. Four Seasons preferred partners have received first access to book ahead of any other travel agency world group. And then the next part is, we will have them. They're all kind of in discussion now, right? Because the ticket pricing is so different versus hotel rooms. There's different things to consider. So we will have them, and they're currently being worked out right now between ourselves and Four Seasons. We'll be able to share them shortly. We've got some time because the first itineraries are in January of 2026. So hopefully we'll definitely have something
That is true.
On our way well before then. Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to take this opportunity to remind our audience that within our infrastructure, not only do we obviously have access through our sister companies to all sorts of travel flights. I'm sorry, all sorts of flight arrangements from commercial to private aviation, of course. For those of you that got the invitation from Prepaid Jets, probably know that already. And so our concierge team will take care of every single detail of your reservation that goes beyond the cruise reservation itself, right? So in this case, once you put your deposit down for Four Seasons Yacht, our concierge team will engage together with Four Seasons Yacht concierge team to help you plan everything around it. From your flights, whether it is commercial or private, to your transfers, to your restaurant reservations at either on board or at any of the ports, to experiences ashore, to pre or post hotel accommodations that you might need. All of that is going to be delivered white glove to all of our guests that make a reservation through us here at Luxury Cruise Connections. And of course, we'll work very closely with our sister companies, Prepaid Jets and Luxuria, and as well, obviously, with Forest Travel and our team here at our organization to make sure that every single one of these details is properly arranged. There's a suggestion there from Renee, and suggests that saying we don't have access to any live shows or entertainment. For example, some of the other fine dining restaurants and venues, which we would have gotten on other cruises. It might be a good idea to partner up with a couple of them at the stops, at the stops where you're anchored. This way, you get both private, the private high-end and package of a luxury cruise liner. Interesting idea. I'm sure it's one that the team will take back.
Yes, we will. Thank you, Ryan.
Excellent. Well, any other questions before we wrap up? I want to make sure I'm respectful of everybody's time as well. And again, we don't get these guys together on a consumer event like this very often. Please expect a follow-up email from us as well with the recording of this event. We'll try to share a little bit more information about the itinerary, some of the recommendations that we might make in terms of the ones that we like the most as well. We'll share that information in an email you're going to receive within the next 24, max 48 hours. But also remember, if you have any question or anything that you guys want to know about this that you might have not learned during today's live event, feel free to send us an email. Either if I don't know the answer or if anybody from our team knows the answer, we have direct access to Nils and Peter here that will facilitate us with the correct and most accurate answer to your questions. So without any further ado, I want to really very much from the bottom of my heart thank Nils and Peter for the opportunity of sharing all this information with our guests. I mean, this is the first time that a Four Seasons Yacht consumer event is ever made. And so I'm extremely proud to be the first one. We're going to be posting this on social media. And feel free to share this with your friends and family. We'd love to spread the word. Four Seasons is not going to be doing mass advertising. They're definitely going to keep this very exclusive. But any friend of ours is a friend of Four Seasons and vice versa, right? So
Yes.
hopefully we can get many of you on board Four Seasons Yachts very soon. I look forward to hearing from you soon. And Nils, Peter, thank you for everything today.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank
and thank you,
you.
everyone. We appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you.
really appreciate everyone's time and interest.
Amazing.
Take care.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
I know.
Take care.
Contact us at luxurycruiseconnections.com.